Well, I guess it's over. Huh? Turn down the radio, that station that was playing Christmas music since Thanksgiving. Casey Kasem, the top 40, whatever. No more Christmas music. All the decorations will be at least half price now. It'll be time to put out the Valentine's things. Christmas is over, apparently. But here in the church, it's different, The Christmas season just began yesterday. And we've got 12 days. There really are 12 days of Christmas, It's not just a song that someone came up with. And if by now you've gone through all of the things that Christmas is supposed to be, right? I mean, you've heard the story. If you've been around here for a while, you've heard the story several times. Mary and Joseph leave Nazareth, go to Bethlehem. You've heard how the baby is born and laid in a manger, and shepherds and angels. And if you watched on KVRR and saw the program that Olivet put together, beautiful program. If you haven't seen it, you can get on the internet, go to YouTube, look up Olivet Lutheran Church and turn to it. And I forget already what it's called. It has a wonderful name too, and I don't have it up here with Heaven and Nature Sing something, yes. And if you watched that, then you heard the story from Matthew about Joseph being concerned about this pregnant woman he's supposed to be married to. And yet he's assured that this one is from God. This one will save the people from their sins. You've heard those stories. You've gathered together with your families. You've eaten way too much. And you've opened all of those presents, those treasures that you didn't even know you needed. I got a silicone face scrubber. I didn't even know there was such a thing. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do with it. But I got one for Christmas. But what's it all mean then? And you see, that's what John is trying to tell us. John's writing nearly 100 years after this event, after the story of Mary and Joseph and Jesus in the manger. And he's writing to people who aren't quite sure what to think about it. Matthew wrote to Jewish Christians, and he links everything that's happening there to their scriptures, to those prophetic words of the Old Testament. And Luke is writing to a Roman named Theophilus, and he's trying to show Theophilus this has nothing to do with overtaking Roman rule. But John's writing to Christians who want to know what it all means, this story that we tell year after year after year. He's writing to us because we've heard this story many times. We've gathered together like this for the Christmas celebrations. What does it mean for us? And so John isn't going to focus in on a particular religious group or even a particular race. He wants the whole world to know what this is about. And so he begins just like the book of Genesis begins. In the beginning was the Word. And he says this Word was God. And there were those who came and testified. There was John the Baptist who came, but he came as a testimony to this one who was coming after him. And John uses beautiful language to describe what this one is like. This one is light coming into the darkness of this world. This one takes on human flesh, and when we behold this one, he displays what God is like. God is full of grace, and God is full of truth. And these are images drawn from Old Testament imagery of God, who is the one of steadfast love, whose faithfulness never ends. And this God, who was in the beginning, who created everything that came into being, this one became one of us. In Eugene Peterson's word, he uses this image. He says that the Word became flesh and blood and moved into the neighborhood. What a wonderful image for what John is trying to explain. And what John is saying, this is what those old stories mean. God moved into the neighborhood. And what happens? We get to become children of God. Children of God, born of God. And this proclamation means that we carry a bit of this light. Did you hear the baptismal announcement? After Amias had been baptized, then he lit that candle. And you hear this Jesus, this Word become flesh, telling his followers, let your light so shine before others. They get to see your good works, but they glorify God. Let your light shine. And that candle for him was lit from the Christ candle. It's that light that we let shine. The Apostle Paul says we carry this wonderful message, this treasure in earthen vessels. And we're sort of cracked pots. And a cracked pot will let some of that light shine out from time to time. Sometimes that light will shine in magnificent ways into the darkness of this world. A light went out today. Desmond Tutu died. He died Sunday morning in Johannesburg, South Africa. They're 8 hours ahead of us, so we could have still been celebrating Christmas. He grew up in a time when racism was an institution. Some 70 years ago, South Africa created something called apartheid. It meant that black South Africans were at the bottom of the class structure. Whites were at the top, they were a minority, then Asians, then a mixed race of group that they called coloreds, and then black South Africans. As that program progressed, it got worse and worse for black South Africans. It was so bad that at one time they said that if a white man were walking down the street and a black man looked at him, the white man could shoot him and not be held responsible for anything. Desmond Tutu was a light in that darkness. He spoke out forcefully against that kind of racism. Time and time again, he called the white ruling class to task for what was going on. Eventually, it ended. And then Nelson Mandela took over. He had been put in prison for many years. And the African National Congress, a black political party, became ruler in South Africa. But Desmond Tutu didn't quit. You see, the African National Congress was now being ruled by blacks, but but they weren't taking care of the poorest of the poor. They weren't taking care of the people, and Desmond Tutu continued to shine a light in that darkness and proclaimed that they needed to take care of the people. He was a light in the darkness of this world. You want to have a little light in your life? There's a book called A Book of Joy. It's written by Desmond Tutu and the Dalai Lama. It is absolutely delightful. It'll bring joy into your life. But you don't have to have that kind of stature in the world. There's been lots of darkness. We see it all around us. We experienced it on 9/11. We saw it in the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. We experience it now with this pandemic going on. Loneliness and isolation, darkness in the world. But you are bearers of this light that came into the darkness. And it doesn't take a magnificent person like Desmond Tutu to share that light. Each of us can do that. A few years ago, I read a story about a young woman named Carla. Carla decided on Christmas Eve that she was going to go visit the nursing home that was right down the street from her. And so what she decided to do was to go into each of the rooms and read the Christmas story. Not John's Christmas story, but the Luke Christmas story. And then she would have a brief prayer with them, wish them a Merry Christmas, and leave. And so she began doing that. As the sky began to get darker outside, night was falling, she went from room to room sharing the Christmas story, saying a prayer. And then she came to one room, it was completely dark. And she could just barely make out the image of a woman sitting on the side of the bed. And so she quietly said, "May I come in and read the Christmas story to you?" All she heard was a whispered yes. She went into the room and she began reading the story from Luke's gospel. When she finished, she had a prayer. And then she invited the woman sitting there to join her in the Lord's Prayer. When they finished, she got up and began to leave the room. She could hear the woman weeping. And so she paused at the door. She heard the woman praying, "Lord, you didn't forget me. I prayed that you wouldn't forget me, and you didn't." Carla turned around and walked back to the woman, wrapped her in her arms, and held her while she cried. There in the darkness, the light of Christ appeared. In this Christmas season, as you celebrate the story, remember that you bear the light of Christ, that you are light in the darkness of this world by the gift of grace and truth that moved into the neighborhood. May you be filled with joy, and may that joy spill out into the world. Amen.